A meeting of the Green Bay Development Authority to order. Roll call. Sikich is here. Alderman Duane's excused. Phil Hilgenberg's excused. Pam Parrish.
Here.
Mike Worley.
Here.
Eric Genrich. Here. Is there a motion to approve the agenda? Second by Genrich, second by Worley. All in favor say aye. Aye. Carried. Motion to approve the minutes from the June 12, 2017 meeting, moved by Borley. Second by Parrish. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Carried. Okay, new business. Consideration with possible action on sale of 954 Erie Road, parcel 21-172-2, and 1024 Erie Road, parcel 21-171-4. The authority may convene in closed session pursuant to sections 19.85, parent 1, parent E, Wisconsin statutes, for the purposes of deliberating or negotiating the sale of public properties, investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business as necessary for competitive or bargaining reasons. The authority may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to section 19.85, parent 2, Wisconsin statutes, to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda.
So, is that a motion? Do you want to go into closed session right away to discuss?
Do we need to, again, do we need to?
I would recommend.
Okay.
I think just,
Okay.
in short, I mean, just for informational purposes, I mean, this is our city-owned parcel on the corner, southwest corner of Erie and Mason. We talked about a project before, that the project didn't materialize in November of last year. We were talking with another client about potential, and just want to kind of provide an update where those talks are at, and just kind of closing out the negotiations and process forward. And that's just because we're still negotiating, we're not done closed session.
Motion to go into closed session.
And you read all the language?
Yes, right.
So, okay.
We're covered.
Okay.
Second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
You do roll
call vote. Pam Parrish.
Yes.
Yes.
Borley. Yes. Genrich. Yes. Sikich. Yes.
All right.
Borley.
Yes.
Genrich. Aye. Sikich. Aye.
Motion to, nope, on item number 4, motion to instruct staff to continue negotiations.
Moved by Borley. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Parrish. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Go get 'em.
All right. Thanks.
Item 5, consideration with possible action on planning option with GB Real Estate Investments, LLC, for property located at 901, 907, and 913 Main Street, parcels 9-48, 9-47, and 9-46. The authority may convene in closed session pursuant to sections 19.85, parent 1, parent E, Wisconsin statutes, for the purposes of deliberating or negotiating the sale of public properties, investing of public funds, or conducting other specified public business as necessary for competitive or bargaining reasons. The authority may thereafter reconvene in open session pursuant to section 19.85, parent 2, Wisconsin statutes, to report the results of the closed session and consider the balance of the agenda.
All right.
That's
Ken.
Ken.
Yes. Ken.
All right. So the two parcels that we're looking at here were the NBA, the 907 and 913 Main Street, along with the RDA-owned property at 901 Main Street. We put an RFP out this past June, and we got 2 proposals back, and today we're recommending granting a 6-month planning option to GB Real Estate Investments. For the multi-story mixed-use building with residential, retail, and commercial use. Mr. Bader is here from GB Real Estate Investments. If you wanted to get any questions about the property.
Motion to open the floor.
Is there a second? Second by Genrich. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Would you like to come on up?
I would love to.
Good.
2 days in a row.
2 days in a row. Can you all handle it?
First of all, I do like your very concise report description of the project. I thought it was very well done. It's exactly what we need to know. And
I'm going to keep it simple, stupid person.
you've done your homework.
I tried.
Thanks.
Well, in short, the proposal's in front of you. As Ken outlaid yesterday for RDA, the proposal will be 3 stories, mixed use, some degree of commercial on the first floor, 2 floors of residential, 20 units being programmed, underground parking, a building that can fit in a little bit with the little old Main Street style, be yet a little modern vibe to it, and play off of kind of what's there, hold the setback, just have a good appearance for the neighborhood.
I noticed as far as the city involvement, I don't know, Kevin, if you have any comment on that as far as the environmental reports, the environmental reporting, those types of things.
I started looking into that. For 901 Main Street, we do have a report from 2006, Phase 1 environmental.
Oh, great.
That cleared it, didn't recommend Phase 2. Awesome. So I still have to do a little bit of digging on the other 2 EDA properties, but I'm still trying to find one.
Get it? It's working in soil, let's go dig into it.
Dig,
Yeah.
there it is.
Hey.
Okay.
I got some questions. It is probably not only for you, Garrett, but for the department, Garrett. The Greyhound property is in default.
It actually just sold. It sold in May, and I have not wanted to reach out to the guy until I went through this process to have the planning option secured, but it sold. I looked up the dude. I know where he lives, and I know what he bought it for, but I don't know what his intentions are.
All right. And then the gentleman moved from Broadway and bought the old art building,
He did.
Yes.
and I'm assuming you've had discussions potentially, or,
I've not formally talked to him yet. He was at RDA yesterday. Ken could probably even talk more than I should about it, but
He was actually the other one who submitted a proposal for this site, which I did. I brought the renderings, and actually that was the only thing that we got as far as the proposal goes, was the renderings. He was, I'm sorry?
Who was that?
This was
From
David.
somewhere in time.
Yes, I'm sorry. Yep. David Barakowski.
I mean, they're nice renderings, but
Yeah.
the intent is just to make a green space.
Those are
Green
the green
space,
space.
correct, with the ability to sell art pieces on the property. So it would have been open to the public, but basically like an art garden where they could have some events and
Yes.
stuff as well. So
His artists within his building, and he would like to feature some of their pieces and help represent them and sell their art sculpture.
Well, we're not
Sure, we
considering
can
this one,
consider
right?
We are
Okay,
considering
so
this
let's
one,
just
but-
put this one away.
yeah, yep.
And then,
There wasn't
we
enough
read-
information for us to
Right.
really grade. There's no written information.
and then I'm just trying to figure out your surface parking.
well, 2 things. So the way that, I'm not sure if is my proposal
We have
there.
Simonets, the issue with Simonets, so that's part of it.
Right, so let's start there. So the thing that I talked to Ken about was, could I acquire 20-ish feet of that parcel next door? And I know Mark, to a certain degree, I would, talk to him and hopefully have that conversation, be able to stretch out the building a little bit, and then use some of that side parking during the day. If there's a commercial tenant there, most of his patronage is at night, so it would seem to be a good day part split there. On the other side, what I want to do is hold the setback of the west side of the building up against the setback of the Antique Mall, which is the setback of where the sidewalk is on my block. If you go north across Main Street, have that connection, connect to the trail eventually. That would allow some parking stalls there. Now, it was mentioned the property owner next door, I want to reach out to that person and say, hey, can we, get an easement for maybe about 6 feet so you can have 2 full drive lanes and then the parking lane there and have that access open. So we'll see. I think if you see my rendering there, I think it's kind of doable even without, but it'd be tight, but it'd be nice if he's willing to play ball. Or she, I don't know who it is.
As far,
Nope,
I was going to say, as far as the commercial use, that'd be like the ground floor? Is that what
At
you're
least
looking
part of
at?
that, and that's why I put the little asterisk in there, the qualifier, and we've thought of some plans where maybe it could still be some residential down there also.
Oh, okay.
But, parking will limit who your users can be, and that's just a reality. I think you can have someone there if it's an insurance person or a quasi-office user, you need less parking than if it's a Starbucks, for instance.
Can I throw another idea out there? And it may have been discussed about, down the road, with Garrett's proposed project here, that the building to the north on the East River, which is still currently warehousing. I know in the past when the Greyhound was there, that was an issue for offloading, but this is wishful thinking that we shut that Cedar Street down eventually, and then that becomes. All right, I'll hold my thoughts. Mr. Chair, Mr. Alderman has a question.
Alderman, go ahead.
Thanks, Chair. Garrett,
Yes.
is that considered a brownfield site?
A question that I will have, and this is, Ken mentioned the old phase one. The phase one can say one thing. When you do the geotech borings and you find out the soil quantity, that's another. So the reason I brought all that up, I mentioned it in there. When I did the townhouses, what we found was the old pHs from the old fill. Same thing that Schreiber had, that the KI Center had. It's all old 2 feet of industrial fill. So it's not dangerous per se, but it's not acceptable anymore with DNR. So my guess is when we find it, when we do borings, we're going to find that. And if you're doing residential, the smart move is to
Take it
yank
out.
it out. So that's why I put that in there. I can see that coming. I'm almost sure.
I'll go to the gas.
Your pH
I think back to Greyhound with Jerry DeVillas, before he had it, there was a pump there. Because the taxi company was there.
All right. I mean,
And
just
I-
the runoff from vehicles and everything else. So
So
that's one concern
But
that
anyway,
I'd
the
have.
study will determine that. Soil borings, at the end of the day, when you dig into it,
And I guess I have one other question. You're mentioning the traditional bank financing will cover 80%, and 20% equity would be, requirement would be the investor and the developer. So the other 80%, that would be, when you say traditional, is that with TID and other elements as well, or what? How does that break down?
There's no TIF request in here. The only request is essentially the site is delivered pad ready. So that would mean if the environmental reporting is done to the degree that the reporting says you have to do X, Y, and Z, that is covered. So if I have a pad ready site from that point, there's no TIF request.
And is there any, I don't know, Kevin, you could help me on this, is there any thought as how much that would be to maybe clean that site or do something? Maybe I'm asking too much on that. I'm just trying to
Do we
figure
have
out
grant funds
what it
for
would take.
We do for
make
assessment
it
for phase 1, phase 2, or
ready to
remedial
go.
action plan,
Just-
site investigation, but not for
Or
actual.
is it too early to tell?
Yeah, until we get to phase 2,
Yeah.
it's hard for us to kind of estimate what that is. Look, I mean, even if there is some things there, it's a smaller site. Sometimes historical, and again, I don't want to speak too soon before we get
Yeah.
to phase 2, but I think just preliminary into phase 1 stuff. I mean, there's nothing there that would say, set up any alarm bells, like,
Yeah.
don't touch
You don't have
this
red
site.
flags, yeah.
I can tell you from my site, it was about $40,000 of identification, testing, removal, and that was all in, I should know it's off the top of my head by now, an acre or so. So I put 75 in there. It's a big question mark.
Okay.
Who knows until we do the testing and find out what's
So,
there.
another question, knowing the council, for the meetings you've gone to,
What?
no, I'm just throwing this out because, how, I mean.
They're amazing people. What are you talking about?
No,
I love them all.
Yeah, that's right, we're on film here. How do you anticipate, well, I don't know if I want to do that to you.
talk
Just
about
as far as the
all,
feeling, a lot of times when you're going on a project, you might have good feelings and all, things in place. But, we always have to look at every element and try to find out what is there that might push back on this for some reason. And obviously you must have thought about all that and just thought that it's good enough to go and something.
Well, I think if the site is ready, I think that takes care of a lot of the concerns about it. If the site is not ready and there's even more there, then we could think that's a completely different set of issues.
This all depends on the owner though, too, correct? I mean, if you came forward to him, I mean, you're saying that somebody else owns this property right now.
No,
We do.
Currently, the city, yeah, we own
You find folks do.
part of the park. City owns 2 and RDA owns
Right.
1.
I mean, at the end of the day, I think in most cases, whether it's Gentleman Garrett here or someone tomorrow, or, we're in a position really where whoever we have a piece of property that there's an offer. I mean, upfront cost for us at the moment is nil. He's asking for permission to really let's look into this.
We had someone else come in here and look at this parcel, and he was going to put up some kind of
Cargo
it was kind of a
container art.
It was kind of like over with he was gonna have different tenants and stuff, and they were gonna work together, and,
Co-working space.
yeah, working space.
Cardinals.
This is a much nicer project than that was, I think, personally. Thank you. That one was, maybe that's why it's not here anymore, I don't know. But
Well, different things happen at different times, and timing and real estate development are strange bedfellows at times.
Well, when you throw a lot of darts at the board, you don't hit every bullseye.
As far as neighborhood connectivity is concerned, I appreciated the comments in there, extending Van Buren north, or the sidewalk north towards the trail. Was just curious if you had, and this is sort of outside the scope of the project maybe, but your thoughts on Main Street and sort of creating a better connection across Main, at Van Buren. It's a little bit of a tricky corner as it is, and to make that more pedestrian friendly, I think would.
If you're heading westbound, it's not a problem. If you're heading eastbound, off the curb, it can be interesting. In a perfect world, could you have like the pedestrian things where you hit the button and the yellow lights flash?
Right.
That'd be nice. I don't know if that's urgent right now before there's a trail there.
Right.
When that day comes, though, that'd be nice. I think that'd be nice to talk about.
Right.
I was out in Seattle area last year too, and they have the things where you have the overhead lights, you hit the button and the light actually turns red for traffic. So no, I'm not expecting nor asking for that, but it's something to talk about.
Yeah, and there's something similar over in Ashwaubenon at Lambeau.
Yep.
With those, the manual
Yep.
and the flashing lights, which I
Yeah,
think are.
it's not crazy to think about that.
I would have my 2 cents on that one, because biking the trail, and I do that a lot, coming and then try to come east, and once you get past the drugstore, it's like, okay, where do I want to go next?
Right.
Where do I go? So, for future discussion with other departments and, developing that whole continuity to get to the East Side Trail.
I just want to throw this out while you're speaking about that. I have met with Howard Public Works and some folks out there about connecting our West Side Trail all the way up to the Mountain Bay Trail, and there's a real big push for that. I think we're going to have some good things, and of course the goal would be to connect, through the old railroad yards on the west side. Too bad with the little forest thing we can't do that, but if there's a way to connect, I'm very much in favor of that. So if there are developments that have trails nearby, I'm all on that.
Motion to approve.
Well, let's go back to the regular order. Any more
sorry.
questions for Garrett? Yeah, want anything more to add? Okay. Thanks, Garrett. Is there a motion to return to the regular order of business? Moved by Genrich, seconded by Borley. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried.
Motion to approve consideration with Green Bay Real Estate Investments LLC for property located at 901, 907, and 913 Main Street, parcels 9-48, 9-47, and 9-46.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Carried. Good luck.
Thank you.
Okay, informational items. Brownfields program update.
All right, so at our last meeting, we told you all that we received our grant from EPA for our Brownfields program. So just to give you a quick update of what we've been working on since then. We get our funds, or we are allowed to start spending funds October 1. We have a couple projects already in the queue that are ready to go actually right now. So we got approval from EPA to spend, bear with us just a second.
I don't think it says the HDMI.
Uh-oh.
Oh. You want? Here.
That was the wrong one.
That one might be. It's old, but not that old.
There we go. Alright. We got approval to use $4,000 from EPA to do the remedial action plan for the rail yard. Of course, that went to RDA last night, so we're moving forward on that. We also got approval to do a remedial action plan programs before October for the shipyard remedial action plan. So when we get to the point where we can start working with those guys, we'll be doing that hopefully within the next couple months. You guys are serving as the Brownfield Advisory Committee. That's how we wrote our grant application. That would be working closely with the EDA on getting your input for what sites we should be looking at to use these funds. We've already identified quite a few sites that we think we might like to focus on in the future if a project comes forward. So I just thought I'd give you a quick rundown of the properties that we are currently considering. Just spoke with Garrett about this site here. So it's quite possible we'll be thinking about doing a phase 1 at this property. To get started, maybe later on down the road, if necessary, we'll consider doing the phase 2 remedial action plan, any kind of site investigation if necessary. We have met with property owners at 1409 Velp Avenue. They are talking about potentially redeveloping this site. It's on the corner of Locust and Velp. This site was actually identified as one of our catalyst sites in the Velp Avenue area-wide plan. We hope to see multifamily residential here. That's what the plan calls for. That's what the property owner is thinking. Even possibly doing a mixed-use retail on the ground floor, possibly with multifamily. This was an old greenhouse site, so there's some potential for some contamination here. So that's one of the properties we're considering. They don't have a project to go right now, but something we're keeping in mind for the future. Next, another property we've been talking with the property owners of 1562 Velp Avenue, northeast corner of Military and Velp. This is another site that we identified as a catalyst site in our Velp Avenue area-wide land. That plan called for some sort of retail on the site, is what we'd like to see, and that property owner is playing around with some different plans for that. They know this is a former salvage yard. The likelihood of something being on the site, some form of contamination, is quite possible. So,
Is it no longer?
it's no longer a
It's all
salvage
closed,
yard.
really?
Yeah.
Yep, they
Used to be Florida Fruit Market.
they've removed all the vehicles from the site, and it's sold. So it's hopefully in the next few months we'll be coming back to talk about a project here. This is 501 South Adams, corner of Chicago and South Adams. Royal Cleaners, Bay Towel, some of the other names for this site. Had a building on here that was demolished a year ago or so. So now that is a blank site. There is quite a bit of contamination on this site. They've already gone through the phase 1, the phase 2. They've done some cleanup already. But in order for any actual development to happen in the future, they would have to go through a remedial action plan for that.
Well, there is still soil contamination, because I've been dug, probably about 4 or 5 feet.
Yep, it's on the northwest corner road, close to that intersection, and we actually met with DNR a month or so ago, talking about if this were to develop, what areas do we need to avoid, what should we be keeping in mind, and they seem to think that actually, remediation could take care of anything on this site. Could build anywhere, but it would be a much cheaper solution to just cap the northwest corner with a parking lot or a park or something, and have the building further to the south. Aaron Rosnick, our design specialist, has put together some conceptual site plans, working with the broker on this.
And what's the ownership situation with this?
This is privately owned. I can't remember the property.
Lutz. Yeah, here. Royal Cleaners.
Okay.
Moving on. City-owned or RDA-owned parcel, 436 South Monroe, northwest corner of Chicago and Monroe. In this image, there's some homes. Those have since been cleared. We got a blank site. don't know a whole lot about the history of this property, is my understanding. It might be worthwhile to just run a phase one and see if there's any concerns. A lot of these older sites downtown, as Gary mentioned before, it had some fill on there that was brought in, and some issues with pHs or whatnot. So it might be just a worthwhile thing to do as we try to market this site for redevelopment in the future.
How did the city own that one? No, we don't own that one.
That one's RDA owned.
That's RDA owned.
Correct.
That was a landlord that had some
Right, I think there were
undesirable properties.
some property orders or
Oh, okay.
inspection issues on the house that eventually already took it out.
And also the Tillman Nursery site. Wendy's met with the broker on that property. They're considering various options on how to market this. Maybe a hotel is one thought. Not a project that's ready to go right now, but if something were to materialize, then we'd be interested in helping out with the phase one, phase two if necessary for this former nursery site.
Gary, were we all, I mean, there was a big
Yeah.
public announcement that we
Yeah.
did, that we acquired from the EPA. She came from
Right.
Michigan and it gave us
Yeah.
like $200,000 or $400,000 grant, and part of it was for that.
Which grant was this?
This was, oh gosh, this has got to be probably 4 years ago.
Let's bring this back up.
Yeah, no, it's not in that one. That one's too old. But I mean, there was.
It would be in Burt's if that were the case, so
And
we could
the-
take a look and see.
She
but-
came-
The property owner was there too,
Well, there was someone involved that wanted to develop.
that wanted to develop it, but I don't think anything
I
ever happened.
thought that there was a little archive dig in there.
Yeah, I'm very curious.
Yeah.
It's up for
I mean,
sale
we
right now.
did there was a press release. And
Yeah, there was a whole, public gathering there.
Was Jim there or was Paul?
I think
I have
that
to
was
think.
Jim. I think it was Jim.
Last 17 years. So those are some of the sites we are kind of talking about right now. We're keeping an eye on only real projects moving ahead right now at this time, or Shipyard and Rail Yard, of course. But just wanted to share that with you, get any kind of feedback. Also, definitely looking for other possible projects out there. If there's other sites that we need to be taking a look at, please let's talk about it.
Across the street from that, the packing, that's still,
That's all finished.
that's all done. So the studies were done on that one. Land packing.
For
That's
GBS
GBS.
site? Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
They're moving forward with development on that.
in the rail yard underneath the viaduct.
Shipyard.
The shipyard? That's the shipyard.
Oh, you're talking about the.
Oh, Ashland Avenue?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a longer
Yeah.
term play. We don't have a project quite there, but
Right.
it's getting nearer on the horizon, so. I think one of the things we like to make sure we do as far as some of these testing, I mean, they got a shelf life. So, I mean, phase one, you can always do, I guess, at any time and see things, but you just want to make sure, like, when you're doing it, you got a project on the end.
Right.
So that they can use that for actually working through their, doing their, remedial action plan.
The Canadian National Rail Yard.
Under action.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, not the,
Not
not the
The
rail
rail
yard.
The rail yard,
Right.
I
The
know.
other
The real rail yard.
Right.
Right,
Yeah, that,
That was that intermodal site.
project.
yeah.
Okay, very good, thank you.
Yep. Just to let you know, we're going to be doing public outreach in the near future here this fall. In our work plan that we developed for EPA, we had said that we'd be doing some public meetings, possibly in October. So we'll probably be asking you to maybe attend that, or at least help us get the word out, just so we can work with the public and get some of their feedback and thoughts on projects.
Good idea. Okay, item 7, city and RDA property matrix.
That's me. I just have a quick update with our city list now. Last time I brought you guys the RDA list. Put together a packet here. It's a thick packet here. But so basically, we're looking at almost 500 properties that the city owns. And we had our intern go through and identify sites that were adjacent to other city-owned properties or possibly RDA-owned properties. So we can have a better idea of what we should do with these going forward. So we have it all organized, laid out now. I brought some examples here of some of the mapping that we were looking at, just to kind of show you what we're looking at. So the first page there, we're looking at the Navarino Park. It's still identifying as like 20 different separate parcels, when ultimately it's going to be the Navarino Park. So it's something that we're working with, I'm working closely with Tom Geezy in DPW to get some of this stuff cleaned up on our mapping system and in our spreadsheets here. So when someone does ask how many properties does the city own, you can actually have an accurate judge on it. It's not, these 20 properties are actually one property.
The other thing too, when you first blush, it's like, whoa. But the reality of it is, there's a great percentage that it's city-owned property, but it's parks.
It's parks.
And it's the city, or it's developed, so it's really, you'll be able to weed all and get us like 2 sheets that say, all right, these are the ones.
These are the
we
actual
sell the
city,
city.
right. And so as we pulled these out, we extracted from the GIS anything that was labeled as City of Green Bay. And then we also, it pulled out anything that would also say City of Green Bay Parks Department. So there's some of them that are out there that are still under the City of Green Bay, but should be under the Parks category. So that's kind of what we're looking at here, just to kind of clean everything up. So
I just want to say, Ken, this is an amazing project, and thank you for doing it, because we have been talking about having this since, I think, the day
Long time.
I'm sure well before I started at the city, and to see it is really impressive. So a lot of hard work, and
Do you want an extra copy?
congratulations.
yeah.
You want
Well, I have to say, and on the video record here too, our intern really
Right,
did a good
right.
job on this
But
portion of it.
that
But
was it.
yeah,
That's
so
right. So appreciate all of that.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, that's a good tool.
And Wendy's right. I mean, it's neat to finally see some of these things come full circle. Finally,
I think we have a lot of the right staff in place right now, so it's fun.
Good.
It's fun to do. So
Very good, thank you.
okay, no problem.
Development Director's update.
Sure.
You can if you want.
So they come back up since we don't have a speaker anymore. Just quickly, a few projects moving forward. We talked about rail yard and shipyard and the status of those. Rail yard went through yesterday. Recommendation from RDA to move forward with a development agreement. You saw it gets the property sold to DDO Holdings, gets them working on the 2 additional warehouses, doing some renovations to their rehabilitation like they've done in the past, adding some additional condo units, some of the environmental work, the infrastructure. Really, as I've said, this kind of gets the ball rolling. There's other interested parties and other projects in the queue, but look, we need to start and get things moving, and I think this does that. So that will be going to council next week. As far as the shipyard goes, we hope to kind of follow up with that, hopefully either later this month or in September. We've been doing a lot of work kind of behind the scenes, talking about the financing, working with the parties in terms of, just how we're going to structure, the deal and then the land layout. The rail yard site is complicated. This one's probably more complicated when you get down to it. But we've been making really good progress, and I think we're in a spot to be able to bring that forward with that. One of the big things we've been pushing forward is with this property list to give us just more tools in our arsenal of properties that didn't know we had, or maybe these would work well together. And I think just going through, somebody looks up City of Bay, well, call us now. We can know nope, that's the part. Nope, that's DPW, or no, that's a developable lot, and that's something more helpful for us to get moving on with. So I think just in terms of some of the other projects moving forward, just had some other discussions. I think, as I mentioned, JVS and kind of it's on its way now towards final zoning approval next week. So that's a really great project to kind of see move in that University Avenue corridor. Just finishing up the Develop Avenue corridor study. I think that kind of sets the tone now for us to kind of take a look WC about creating a tax increment district out there, starting to get some projects. And I think, in terms of timing, I think once we kind of get a project out there that serves as a catalyst, that kind of drives, the need for a tax increment district if one is needed. But I think, look, there's some really great opportunities out there, and I think people that were involved in the process see that as well. Just in terms of staff and EDA, we do have a candidate, his name's Hamid Rage, for a additional member for the EDA. Finally, he's bringing you guys at full strength, so we don't have to be scrambling for quorum if we get at the last cancellation at the last minute. He currently works for the Howard Swamco School District, but he has some experience, his degrees in commerce, experience with Carolina Foods and some other places, so we can send out his resume. But very excited, lives in the community, newer, but really wants to get involved with planning economic development. I think you had a chance to sit down with him or Celestine.
Both did with Celestine, and I think he brings a very unique perspective. A lot of his background is in South Africa, I believe. That's where he's done a lot of his research and economic development.
And when is he going to?
Hopefully,
next
his
meeting, or?
appointment should be on the
Oh,
next
oh,
council
oh,
docket,
yeah.
so he'll be here with the
Good.
next meeting.
Good.
Just a quick question on the earlier
Yeah.
development. I don't know if this is just a rendering issue or what, but the development as it was presented online anyway,
Yep.
looked sort of suburban,
Sure.
very wide roads. I was just curious.
Yeah, so a few things. As far as the roads go, those that basically the one kind of like the townhome shot.
Yeah.
I think just kind of showed the right of way
Okay.
as presented. Required in the development agreement, everything is required to be complete streets.
Okay.
So you got to have the vehicle, but you also have to have the bicycle and pedestrian accommodations. The preliminary plans, or we talked about for especially Kellogg's, that's going to be the gateway, and then also Donald Driver, 2 drive lanes. Depending on the width and the requirements, whether it's bike lanes or just wider outside, because traffic is, the segments are short. We're still playing around with whether those be striped bike lanes or just wide lanes. I think one of the things is it's not really a throughway.
Right.
Donald Driver might be, but it's not really like you're going through that area as much as the need for it on Broadway, kind of that north-south connection. But definitely the on-street parking, sidewalks both sides is what we're looking for. So it kind of continues to look like that extension of Donald Driver is right now that comes off. To kind of continue that. There's some challenges, because we're going under the power lines in terms of planting and vegetation, what we can do there. But no, the goal is to make sure that is in there, and also that rendering really didn't show kind of the other trail or pedestrian network that they want to put through there.
Okay.
The goal with those townhomes is to have everything vehicularly backloaded, and that the actual front doors will be kind of on pedestrian walkways, so that you'll have kind of the old Garden City look, or just old city Philly, kind of where you're walking on the street. Your front door is basically on a pedestrian way, and all the vehicular stuff is in the back.
Okay.
And I think it's really important that as we talk about that, and then also the additional buildings, the cars are kind of tucked away and behind, and again, it's a park once kind of place, and then you share all the rest of the amenities.
Yeah. Cool. That's good to hear.
Sure.
Any other questions? Okay. Motion to adjourn.
So move.
Second. Parrish, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Motion carried. Adjourned. Thank you. Thanks, all. Very informative. Oh, Ken, I was gonna. Is any of this